Focus with Robert Painley. It's been an interesting week, and let's start off with the fact that it is freezing outside. Well, freezing from South Florida standards. It's chilly outside, but for the third of the country that is deep in snow, we're wishing you our best, and please stay home or avoid going out if you possibly can, and stay warm. So I have my tea today. I've forgone the cocktails and gone to a little tea. So I can stay warm here because it's probably going down into the low 40s in South Florida. So here in Fort Lauderdale, a little chilly by our standards. So, but I know it's nothing compared to what other people are going through. So stay warm, stay dry, and let's get started. So again, as usual, I went ahead and we're going to talk about questions. I've really enjoyed this format of just trying to answer questions. So I'm going to look at my phone here and let me see if I can pull them up rapidly here. I do try to organize them. And let's start. First of all, I want to thank everyone for that has been watching and submitting questions. I really enjoy answering them, and I'm having a lot of fun. And hopefully, you're getting a lot of good information as well. The other thing I wanted to mention too is a lot of the things I do put them all. I know you can't see them on the phone, but I do put all of the questions on my phone in my notes section so that I can look at them. And sometimes I have a lot of questions that are kind of similar in regards. So I kind of, if you don't hear your exact question, it's because I have taken those questions and kind of melded them together in some way so I can then kill two birds with one stone, as it were, and get the general question answered. And if there's something specific about it, then I'll go ahead and take it from there. But the first question, let's see here. Hi, Robert. My mom thinks I'm not a good Christian because I go to mediums. What should I tell her? Okay. I don't know. I don't even know where to begin with that question. That you're not a good Christian. Okay. So I guess the first answer I would have is why are you going to so many mediums? If that seems strange to me. If you're getting an answer, maybe you're not getting the full answer, but then maybe do a little bit of research on the mediums that you're going to. If you're going to a lot of them, it just seems strange. Maybe you're not getting the one answer that you need or want to hear from. But again, as I've always said, you get what you need out of a reading, not necessarily what you want out of a reading. So if you're not getting everything that you're expecting to hear, or it's not enough, my suggestion would be to step back a little bit. And, mediums aren't going to give you every little bits and piece of information, perhaps, that you want to hear. Sometimes it's incredibly specific. Sometimes it's incredibly general, depending on what we get as mediums. I've gone, I'll go to some place and I will get incredibly specific information. And then sometimes I'll just get something that's semi-general. I don't like it that way because I don't feel like I'm doing my job, but I can't force them to give me anything. I can ask specific questions as well sometimes, but that doesn't mean they're going to answer me or give me anything very specific. So let's take that first question first. I guess your mom doesn't think that you're a good Christian. Okay, I can't answer that. I don't know what's in your heart, what's in your soul. So it's hard for me to say. So I'm going to stay from a general perspective, from a general sense. It really is, spiritual is all about your intent and purpose and what's in your soul. It's the purity of your intent. There's a lot of Christians I know, and other religions that I know, Muslims and Hindus and Jews and you name it, that I encounter. And while they may superficially say I'm XYZ religion, that doesn't necessarily make them a good person because you denote yourself by a particular religion. There is the old saying, everybody's a good Christian until they get back in the parking lot, and then people are mean and nasty. You just look at what's going on in the country, and you see people who, purport to say that they're very good Christian or Muslim or or Hindu or whatever, of whatever faith, and then they're completely nasty online, or they're completely, you know, um, uh, com- getting into situations where they're stealing from their neighbors, and even if it's petty things like taking people's political signs and screaming at people because of their political position or whatever it happens to be. So I would start there. It's like live by the tenets of your religion. If that's what you want to do, that's great. But somebody telling somebody else that they're not a good XYZ based on their opinion. I mean, if you're Christian, and I'm assuming that you are because of your mom here, the first thing I would say is judge not lest you be judged. That's part of your religion. So who is she to judge you in based on your what you do and how you do things? Again, we're not talking about issues of morality. We're talking about going and seeing a medium in this particular case. And again, I grew up Catholic, and one of the things I always had to relegate was what I saw versus my Catholicism, and whether or not that I heard from people, this is demonic. It's not, this isn't good to do. It's something that is going to harm you. I always looked at it, and I had to relegate it to the fact that if God gave me this gift for a reason, so that I could help people. I like to tell people, and I think, and if anybody checks anything that I've said or done on the internet, I'm not perfect, but what I try to do is uplift the conversation for the most part, unless there's a reason why I may have gone down a different direction, or again, like I said, I'm not perfect, but and I don't purport to be. But one of the things that I will say is that um, being a medium for myself, and I can only speak for myself and other mediums I know when we've had this conversation, is that God gave me a gift for a reason. And I never, ever do anything that would detract from the purity of my intent, or the purity of what I believe the Spirit's intent is. I will never tell anybody that I would never give bad information or tell people to do something that they shouldn't do. I will always provide options, and usually with the options come an additional subset of ramifications to any decision that you make. You shouldn't be making your decisions based on what a medium tells you. You should be making your decisions based on your life experience, your history. A medium doesn't know your entire life. So I get to see and hear things that you don't get to hear or see, perhaps. So my job is to kind of put that into some sort of context based on what I know and what they're saying. So I give the information as I get it, but I may not be able to put it into the proper context because I don't know your life story. I may get to see bits and pieces of it, but I haven't lived your life. I live my own. So, I guess going back to whether or not it makes you a good Christian because you go to a medium, I don't, because I am a medium, I don't see a problem with going to one, particularly one that's reputable. If you find a medium that is there to help you, and my biggest things that I do when I go to people's homes are hauntings, making sure that the living space or the land or the business is a comfortable environment for people to live, work, and go to in safety and security and comfort. That's a primary objective of mine. The next one would be to make sure that any pets, I work really well with pets and get information, or animals in general. Don't have to be a pet of someone, um, uh, which implies ownership. But from that perspective, I work very well in that way. Um, you know, General aspects of healing, particularly as it comes from an emotional perspective, as it relates to perhaps the passing of someone or even someone's life course, which is my other main gift, as per se, as to help others if they are off course or if they are about to go off course, how to get back on course if you are off course. So those are all the things that I work on. And I would never myself knowingly lead anyone down a course that would be detrimental to their own spiritual well-being, or their own physical well-being. It's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to offer guidance and assistance to those that are seeking that, and sometimes that aren't seeking it. When I get called, by spirit to talk to someone that you know is not a client of mine or something on the street, or that I encounter as a friend, or just encounter someplace else in my daily walking life. So, going to see a medium, and how um, I would maybe, first of all, one, don't see as many mediums, take a step back, figure out why or what you're not getting out of the experience. Contact me. You didn't say why you're constantly doing this. So find out, for me, take a step back, uh, you know, uh, accept the answers maybe that you've received, or what are you trying to actually, receive from a medium. Know that with clarity before you go see another medium. Don't go and just wonder what they're going to tell you. Go in there with some specifics, and actually pray on it before you go to see a medium. What do you want? Who do you want to hear from? Invite them into the process. This isn't when you go to a medium and they meet you for the first time. It's a lot from a medium's perspective to get your energy, try and get the energy around you, try and get the information, and then do it with such clarity. But if you're helping them in that endeavor from the aspect of just at least praying for the people to come through, inviting them into the process, knowing the questions that you actually want an answer to. I can't tell you how many readings I've gone to where people don't know. Well, I just want to hear, I just want to see what you get. Not the best way to approach a medium, to be honest. I could give a very general reading that way, but if you're looking for something life course related, then let me know that going in so that I can address or ask your spirit guides what you want to hear. That helps me greatly, and it helps any medium greatly. We're only, it's kind of like when you go to a butcher. You would go, you go to a butcher and you ask for a cut of meat. Give me a pound of I don't know, give me a pound of lamb chops. But you could ask for a type of specific cut, your thickness, what you want. You're buying it for a particular event. All of these things come into account. And so, just as something simple as that mundane activity, you put some thought into that. Put some thought into, if you're going to go see a medium, put some thought into what you're trying to accomplish, so that it helps the medium try to understand what you want to accomplish, so that they can kind of focus their efforts and energies that direction. Okay. From the good Christian point of view, perhaps maybe not discuss it with your mom. I don't know what you're trying to do by doing that, when you know that it probably upsets her in some way. So, are you doing it to upset her? Are you doing it to try to get her buy-in? What I have found is that usually people are accepting of mediums, or come to see a medium if they feel that they need to. And some people, particularly in a Christian faith, have an objection to use of mediums or psychics, or this type of thing, because of what they perceive the Bible says in this regard. So, I can't answer that question. I can't answer whether you're a good person or a bad person based on a question in an email. So basically, I would say try to stop saying mediums as much. Find a good one. Go there with intent and purpose, knowing what you want to try to accomplish in that session. Maybe not discuss that issue so much with those around you, unless there's a reason for it. If you're trying to get information for your mom, will she believe you anyway based on what a medium has to say? So, and I always do consults with my clients. So, nothing is going to harm her. I'm not charging her to do a consult. So if a consultation is necessary, she just wants to talk and find out a little bit more. Have her watch my show to find out, and ask a question here. I think I come off relatively as non-threatening. So, maybe she'll get exposure to something that's a little bit different. Other than that, I really don't have much more to offer. So I hope that answers some of your questions, but if you need more specifics, please feel free to reach out and let me know, and I'll try to do what I can to help. Okay. Right. And I brought the tea this time too, because I was in the last show last week. I got into a huge coughing fit, for which I apologize. And then that took me to a while to recover. So I want to make sure I have something here this week. Okay. I was lying in bed a few nights ago, and for some reason, I was thinking of a pentagram. At that moment, there was a loud bang on the window. Then I heard noises all night like someone talking. Did I do something wrong? No. We're humans, we have thoughts, and things pass through your mind all the time. And sometimes we do think bad things about other people. Um, it's normal. It's normal human emotion. If somebody, perhaps you're at work and somebody wronged you, or it was perceived wrong in some way, you may say in a moment of, I hope something X, Y, Z happens to so and so, or I wish this person were dead, or because you're just so frustrated. I don't like to throw things out as intention, but sometimes we do things that our frustration tells us to do, or we feel that we do, and we swear, uh, and we act up and we act out in ways that we would not normally do so if we were rational in that particular moment. So, don't beat yourself up, because we all have passing thoughts. It's what you do with that thought that's important. If you happen to think of a pentagram, that in of itself, you could think of a star, you could think of any shape or a function. You could have seen a movie, and then it's in your thoughts because you saw, a scary movie, and it passed through your thoughts. It's what you do with the thought that's important. It becomes part of your intention. And if you're thinking about it, do you want to use that in some way to try to garner information? Is it appealing to you in some level to pursue this in a spiritual manner, which I would consider a negative spiritual manner? So to me, it's the intent. Hearing the loud bang when you're thinking about it could have, I mean, I don't know if this is the first time you thought about it. I don't know if you're practicing Wiccan. I don't know if you're or practicing Santero, or practicing, Satanist, or whatever I don't know the history of your background, your spiritual background, or your religious background. So it's hard for me to answer that question with any specificity in this regard. I'd probably have to go to the location and sense what may be there, or what is happening. The fact that you're hearing noises and hearing things, again, I like to look for the rational before I look for the spiritual a lot of times as a human. That's the Nancy Drew that comes out of me. Is I'd like to know what that is. I mean, could it have been a bird that flew into the window? Could it have been anything? All those are possibilities. Is it a possibility that it's spiritual as well? Absolutely, it's possible. So the fact that it happened the moment that you were thinking about a pentagram. Sometimes you can attribute to coincidence. Sometimes those things happen. But I would need to kind of know more and get the energy of what's there. Hearing voices, on the other hand, if you're truly hearing them, and it's only happened subsequent to what your thought process was, I'd like more information on that before I kind of made a judgment call. But hearing voices in and of itself doesn't mean that it's bad or negative. It could be spirit guides trying to protect you. It could be somebody around you. It could be angelic energy. It could be a loved one. It could be anything. So, and could it be negative? Yeah, it's a possibility as well. Not a likely one, but still a possibility. So I would not worry about it a whole lot. Contact me again if something additional happens. But I wouldn't try to ascribe a whole lot of definitive meaning to something that was a one-of event. Usually when I work with hauntings, it's a perpetual and continuing annoying process. So if it's a one of, kind of don't worry about it. I get lots of one ofs in my life all the time. I work with spirit every day, and I have spirit in this house every day. So sometimes they're just walking through, passing through, have nothing to do with me, sense my energy, come check me out, and they're gone. A lot of times it could be for a client that I'm seeing in the future. Sometimes it's my own spirit guides walking about, my mom who comes to visit occasionally, or another relative. So it could be anything. And I hate just to sit there and just randomly say, like I said, in the last answer to the last question, it really goes against my grain to give a definitive in this way without further knowledge or investigation, or to take away or to say something that I don't know to be true one way or another. But I would say that if it happens again, you think about that again, the same type of thing happens. Once sometimes is random, twice is maybe a coincidence. By the time you get to a third data point, it's usually not coincidental anymore. Becomes a pattern. And that way we need to determine at that point what that pattern is. Is it getting worse? Is it getting better? Is it different somehow? But I'm a big believer in patterns, and I'm a little bit of a data-driven guy sometimes in that regard, that I don't describe everything to a spiritual nature, because people's, and particularly if they're afraid, or they've had a recent death, or they've had something go on in the family, or they are spiritual and they do have a gift and they've seen other things in the past that have frightened them, get a little shell shock sometimes, and you start to attribute things, normal everyday occurrences, to spirit, when not everything is spirit related. So let's find out what that is. If it continues to happen again, let me know, reach out, and I'll check in. Also, one of the things that I do all the time too is I can I've talked about this before on the show, I can astral project, maybe put myself in that space and get the energy that's around you, and that particular space, and see if there's something that I can glean from that process as well. Okay, thanks. Let's see. Where are we here? Where's it at? I was lying. Okay. Oh, here it is. Sorry, couldn't find the next question. I don't believe in ghosts. What proof do you have that all this stuff is real? um, Interesting question, and I get that question a lot. So let me see if I can kind of. There's a lot to say here. One of the things that I'll start off with is it's not my job to prove anything. That's not my functionality. My function as a medium is to take what I get, what I perceive, what I know, and relay that information. To prove it to somebody is not what I do. I think so. We'll go from that general overall statement to begin with. I don't try to prove what I do to anybody. Anybody who's worked with me as a client or as a friend that I've read for, that knows who I am as a human being, knows my sincerity and the clarity of my thought process and what I do, who I am as a human being and who I am as a man, who I am as a medium, to do what I do and what the skill set and the gift that I'm bringing to the table. People know that, or they wouldn't hire me. So apart from that, apart from the proof aspect of it, all I can say is that it's abnormal for me to it's strange for me when I look at other people that you can't see, sense, or feel what I do. And I talked to other mediums about this. Similarly, I've seen my earliest memories are of encounters with spirit. So it's not unusual for me. I mean, I tried to hide it. It was annoying and frustrating and things growing up because they didn't know what to do with it, knowing that other people didn't see, sense, and feel what I did. But it's odd for me that people don't. So when I am sitting in this house and I will watch a spirit walk by while I'm watching television or try to get my attention and try to communicate with me, it's very, very strange for me that my husband has no clue, doesn't see it. And the first thing I do is, I'll say something like, hey, we got a guy standing over here. He's like 6'2", and he's, got this shirt on as a t-shirt, but he's got a shirt on top of it. It's not buttoned. He's got these kind of, I'm just, black hair. He's about 35 years old. I will go through a full description and he sees absolutely nothing. And that drives me crazy because it's so clear to me what I'm seeing. And then, maybe 10 minutes later, I'll get a phone call from a potential new client. And they're saying, hey, we just lost my brother. This is what happened. I said, and I'll say usually at that point, well, is he 6'2"? Does he have dark hair? Does he look like this? Oh my God, that's who that is. That's why the spirit came to visit me. So that's why I see what I do. So for me, that's normal. The fact that my husband, Mark, or others can't see it is strange to me a little bit. And the fact that if you go on the website, if you go onto YouTube and look up Robert Painley, or medium Robert Painley, or Robert Painley medium, you'll find my videos out there. And I have a few videos that I've posted where we've captured actual ghosts in the house. Not many here because I don't post some of the things that I get. I don't post. I just don't have the time to post everything that I do. But uh, there have been occurrences that have a lot of occurrences that have been caught on video where I have gone to do a reading or work with a haunting where just unexplained things happen or are captured on camera. Things moving, things talking, um, you know, the electricity going down, batteries drained, lights flickering, and all of these things are occurring while I'm there. And all of that, again, I'm not trying to prove it. The reason for my being in that location is for my client and working with my client, and that's the primary objective of what I do. So I would say go and do that. Not every video that I've ever seen, I'm convinced is spirit related. There's a lot of things that, that I'll watch television and I'll see some things that intrigue me or I'll get a feeling about it. And there are other things that the whole premise of the show is, oh, did you hear that? What's that noise? And I hear nothing, I see nothing. They captured nothing. And that annoys me because I too, I enjoy what I do. I enjoy, for the most part, there are some spirits that I've interacted with that haven't been enjoyable. But for the most part, helping others, helping people out is a huge enjoyment, a huge karmic satisfaction. And I get to use my gift and actually help people to move on with their lives and get and hopefully be better centered individual spiritually. So I think that's one aspect. I don't know how to prove to you. I mean, you could ask my clients, if there's somebody they ever want to talk to, happy to provide that information. I think one of the things for me too, I was going to read the next question, but I think one of the things too is I think my experiences with other mediums and the similarity in stories and the similarity with which people get information, and quite frankly, my own experience. I mean, I've seen some very well-known mediums myself and psychics myself. A couple that have had television shows and are known for their mediumship abilities, like Rosie Shapiro, Kim Russo, and had amazing readings. And there's no way that they could have known anything about what they were talking about. So a lot of things for me, when I look at it, there's a lot of things that I get from people that are just when I go that I know are ungoogleable. I think that's the best way to say it is there's no way I could get the information that I get from spirit to tell a client. I mean, I just wouldn't post certain things. I mean, there's certain things about, when I get things on rape or, some type of crime that someone in their family has committed or health issues that family have died from, or a dog that passed 30 years ago before the internet and, and what the names were and, specific jewelry they were buried with, or or a color dress that they were buried. All these type of things that come out during reading that there's no way for me to get. And so I know my own work ethic, and I know what I do about getting that information clean. I always have a better reading when I know little about my clients or nothing about my clients because I know that it's clean, and I'm able to pursue it. That's why it's harder for me to read people that I know. My husband, my family members. I mean, I will do some kind of tarot card readings with them sometimes to make sure that it confirms what I'm getting from spirit, because I can interpret things maybe in a way that that would be more beneficial to them, or less critically, or from a less critical thought process on mine, because I want the best outcome from them, and I may interpret the signs or symbols that I would for one person in one way, but for my family member a different way, because I know them and I have a vested interest in making sure, like, for example, if I saw something coming up for divorce or injury or illness or something, I don't want that to happen to them. So I might be hesitant with them to read in a particular way. So I don't take that chance mostly, or if I do go there, I usually confirm it with tarot cards so that I'm kind of, getting a confirmation before I give information to them, so that I know it's absolutely accurate when I'm giving it to them. Uh, so believing in ghosts is interesting. What I find fascinating with this is that there are many, many skeptics out there that I've come across in what I do that once they have an encounter are very firm believers. And I think I don't find many people, honestly, that have not had some type of paranormal experience in some capacity, whether in their childhood or as an adult, where it's been something that they can't explain. And they're very rational people in every other sense of the word, and they try to justify that experience in some way to themselves, so that they don't have to deal with the prospect that it is um, that it's not real, that it wasn't a real experience. I'd rather try to push it off to something that is rational for them because it makes their life and their world easier to accept. Once people have encountered a spirit, particularly negative activity, or they move into a new home and they've never experienced this type of feeling before in a certain way, and they don't know why, or they feel they're being watched, or things are moving that never happened before, then they become believers in mediumship or in ghosts in general. So it usually comes from humans. We're kind of wired that way. We tend to believe more what we see, and we try to rationalize what it is. And from when we're little children, when we tell little kids that no, there's no boogeyman under the bed, or there's nobody in the closet, and there's no such thing as ghosts and things of this nature, a lot of that is meant to make us feel better for ourselves. But if you had that experience with your child, or your child is gifted and attracting spirits to them because of their gift, or you yourself are gifted and you kind of, like myself, swept it under the rug trying to avoid it for years, because you didn't want to have those negative encounters or those negative experiences, I get why that's challenging and why it's hard and why sometimes it's hard to believe. Uh, but all I can do is suggest that you talk to people who have actually had that encounters. I think one of the other ones too are people who have had near-death experiences. Anyone who has had a near-death experience will tell you specifically. There's a lot of commonality between them. There are books, hundreds of books written on the subject, but there's a lot of commonality. Usually the experience is so profound that it changes them and their life purpose, and their life experience, and how they interact with others around them so profoundly when this happens. So seek them out, and you can find these people online, and ask them serious and sincere questions if you want about it. It's not my job to prove to you that ghosts exist, much like I don't have to prove to you that Pluto's out there. You can't see it with the naked eye. Scientists say that it's out there. You probably haven't bought a telescope and seen it by yourself, and you trust their judgment on it. And because somebody else sees it, somebody else takes a picture of it, and they show it to you, you accept it as factual. There is, and again, there's a lot of hoaxes out there. I'm not telling you to believe everything that you see, or everything that's written. We could see the damage that not believing in things that are not true, the damage that it can cause to a country, whether it be virus, the cause of a virus, or the cure for a virus, or how the virus travels, and the ramifications of getting the virus, to just strange things that people believe. I won't go into all those, but even just flat earthers for me. How you can look at the evidence and not believe that, and you live on the planet. So some of that is I can't prove everything to everybody. All I can do is prove what I see, or tell you what I see and know, and perhaps with a medium or a psychic, or your own research, maybe you can get some clarity on what is out there. But there's a lot of stuff out there that we don't that most people don't see or sense or feel on a daily basis. Um, and to all the light workers who do that are watching this program, thank you for taking the time and the effort and the energy to give of your energy in this way to not try and convince other people, but to do the work that you need to do um, with the energy that you encounter on a daily basis. Okay, that was a long answer. Long answer and time for a little more tea. Um, Next question. Robert, do you ever go to psychics or mediums? Yes. Again, for the same reason, I don't get to see for myself. I think I've maybe answered this question a few times on the show. I do go to psychics and mediums and stuff. I don't get to see for myself. A lot of times I get messages from my spirit guides, but again, like anybody else, I'm curious about what other people, are they getting different people? Are they seeing something different than I do? And a lot of times, I have to say, um, I have to live my life as a human on this plane as well. So even though I'm a spiritual being and I do cross boundaries between worlds, I do have to live my life and learn the lessons that I'm supposed to learn. So I don't get the luxury of knowing everything about myself. So sometimes I like to go find out the direction for myself as well. So, and that's where, and I have to have a lot of trust in the people that I get information from. And there's very few of those out there because I know their energy and I've sensed their energy and I know how good they are at what they do. And I've worked with some of them. So I know what they're capable of and I know the type of information that they get. So I'm very comfortable about getting information from them and feel trustworthy in that information or trusting of that information, I should say better. So yes, I do. Do I do it frequently? No. I think the last time I had a reading, I've had general small ones from friends of mine who are mediums, but a formal session where I've sat down for a mediumship reading, it's been pre-COVID at least. So it's been at least over a year now for myself that I haven't had a reading um, for what I do. Let's see. What else? Um, some of the things you talk about scare me. I don't know what I do if I saw what you see. Not a question, but but I'll take it as something to address. Some of the things you talk about scare me. They should. Um, some of the things that I see scare me, but I don't have the luxury of ignoring it. I'm going to see it whether I like it or not. So my choice, whether for good, better, or worse, is that I have to deal with it. And it's my job, it's my function as a light worker, as anybody who is a light worker is called to help in any way that you can, to put things right if I can, to clear up negative emotions that may be left behind with the passing of someone, or to get somebody on their correct spiritual journey. I hate to say life course and spiritual journey because sometimes those are different. Your life course is your life course, but your spiritual journey can be independent of your earth journey in some ways. They're not always connected. So when I do a reading, I try to make a distinction between those two. For example, whether or not I see a new job coming in your future, and this is where the job is. This is what I see. This is how it's going to happen for you. But that may not be necessarily aligned with your spiritual journey. For example, a reading that I had a while ago now, a few months back, where I went to go see a woman who I saw a job coming at a very specific location and told her where that was coming from and what was going to happen through this interview process. And that came to fruition. I found out later on. But the spiritual journey was that, she wasn't doing the things necessary for her. She wasn't letting her soul sing. So she could take this job, but she needed to find another way to make her soul sing because she wasn't going to get that satisfaction from her soul journey out of the job that she was going to take. That was going to require that she does something else on top of that. A lot of people like my soul journey. My soul journey is to do what I'm doing here, is to make sure that making people comfortable in their own home or their office space or putting people on the correct life path. That's my this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I am living my journey. But some people don't. Some people are an accountant by day, but but accounting in and of itself is not. They are meant to write poetry or play basketball uh, or just don't donate their time to a children's hospital to give of their soul and give of their self what they're supposed to. So uh, it's interesting. So going back to the things, I think the question was, I get a lot. Sometimes I get off track. I apologize. Now, what scares you? These things, these things shouldn't scare you from the aspect of making sure that your journey is on the right path. Um, I talk a lot about the ghosts that I have encountered. For the most part, most people don't notice them. They go through their day uh, blindly ignorant of the spirits around them. But you have spirit guides that are talking to you all the time, and maybe unbeknownst to you, you are perhaps listening, being influenced by some of the decisions that you're making based on the information or feelings that you're getting, whether they come to you in your dream state, whether they come to you as intuition, whether they come to you in a different manner. So that shouldn't scare you. Always protect yourself and ask that information comes from a good source and God's light. That's a way to kind of mitigate anything that you may be doing in a negative way. But some people do listen to the negative voices. Some people get lost in addictions and get lost in other aspects of life that aren't coming from a good source. And all it takes is sometimes just the beginning of a downhill spiral, and then people start listening to forces that are telling them to lower their vibration in some way. And that's what's dangerous. So can it be dangerous? Should it scare you? It can be. That's why I always try to have you live your best life, live a high quality, happy, spiritual life. Try to do the best that you can. You will fall short. I fall short. Everybody falls short. That's part of what happens as human beings. So don't beat yourself up when it happens. Accept it for what it was. Try not to do it again. And just try to do what you can to mitigate those circumstances from happening that put you into that situation in the first place. And if you can do that and come into it with a very positive attitude, I think positive attitude has a lot to do with it. It also has to do with how, just your aging process, being inquisitive and being curious about life and new things will keep you young. So from a spirit perspective, don't be afraid of spirit unless you're actually being attacked in some way, in a way that you don't understand. Things are happening in the house. You're being scratched. You don't feel comfortable. You're hearing things. You're seeing things that are disconcerting or disquieting in some way. Then seek out the help of a medium. Don't be afraid of. Some people, like even with medical issues, stick their head in the sand. And if I don't get the test, I'll never know that I have, XYZ disease. But having the test and knowing what's there or how good it is or how bad it is the only way that you can really seriously deal with an issue. So I would say, suggest that you be proactive. If you have a spiritual encounter of some sort that you need to address it head on. There are many mediums out there who can help you with your situation, and find out somebody who's reputable. Find somebody else, seek them out, so that you can make your life better. You don't have to live with things that scare you, and it's usually it's the fear of the unknown that is disquieting. Once you know what you're dealing with or what it is that you're dealing with, your life is better, and it brings some clarity or peace of mind to anything that you're doing. And in particular, with what I do, I'm lucky enough that if it's really bad, usually my spirit guides show me exactly what I'm going to encounter, so that it doesn't scare me. So I'm in a much better place now at this age at this point in my life than I was previously. So I'm grateful to my spirit guides for that, and I'm also grateful that they take the time to really help me out in that regard. But don't be afraid of what you don't know. educate yourself, learn about it, try to rationally look at the things that I see or that you may be experiencing, and work with it and seek help if you need it. Okay. It's a little bit before 8 o'clock. And I do want to thank everybody. Happy Groundhog Day. And hopefully the winter won't last that much longer. Mark and I are preparing for a new journey. We're going to be moving out of South Florida. If you're in South Florida and you want to see me before I leave, let me know. And also, I will mention here again, Roshi Sapiro will be here in early March. And if you would like her and I to come to your home to perhaps work with a haunting or house blessing or something that you have going on, let me know. Please reach out and contact me. You can reach me at Robert Painley at spirit-focus.com or rapainley@gmail.com. Please let me know, and be happy to schedule that while she's in town. She's lovely and wonderful, and she's amazing at what she does, and I love working with her. And we'll look forward to doing that again when she's here in town. So if you have something, I'll be putting out notifications very shortly. You'll be seeing those coming out through Instagram and through Facebook. So check them out there. I'll also try and post it on the Enlightened World Network. And so you can contact me, and hopefully we'll get a chance to meet. In the interim, I'll be here again next Tuesday at 7 p.m. for Spirit Focus with Robert Painley. Thanks again for joining me this week, and sending blessings and love and light, as Rosie would say, from the heart. Have a great day.